Hi, my name is Terry Schmink, and today we're going to be talking about frames, specifically world and user frames in the robot. In this presentation, you should learn the definition of a user frame, how user frames are used, and how we create user frames. Frames are three-dimensional, and they're used to define position of my robots. A frame consists of three planes 90 degrees from each other, and where those three planes intersect is called the origin. I have an x-axis, a y-axis, and a z-axis. So every point on my robot is relative to this origin. So if I were here, this point would have an x value, a z value, and a y value. And this is known as the 3D Cartesian coordinate system. And this is what we call a frame. Okay? Now, on my robot, I have a default frame called the world frame. The world frame has an origin at the intersection of the J1 and J2 axis. So there's my origin. A rule of thumb that we use is called the right-hand rule. You stand behind our robot, make your three fingers like this, and the back of the robot is generally where the cables come in. So when I'm standing like this, X positive in world is going to be this direction, Y positive in world is going to be this direction, and Z positive in world is going to be this direction. Test already. When I move this robot in X positive, which way is he going to go? Forward. Okay. And this is always a linear motion. So see how he comes forward in a straight line, linear. Now if I look at my position here, I have a value of 470.78 in X. That value is talking about the distance in millimeters from my origin out to this tool center point. I have taught a tool frame, so it's measured by this tool center point. Had I not taught a tool frame, it would be measured to the center of the faceplate. So X, I'm coming out this far, and this far is 470 millimeters. So you can always prove yourself, and that will always work. Same with the Y, and same with the Z directions. Now the reason that I need to create more frames called user frames is because I'm a user and I'm defining my workspace. So when I create a user frame, I'm actually creating an offset of the world frame origin. For instance, if I'm going to be working over here, and this is going to be my workpiece over here in this area, I'm going to create a user frame in this area. I'm going to create an origin that is an offset from the world, and I'm going to create a new X, Y, and Z axis. So let's go ahead and get that done. How we create a user frame is we need to go to Menu. Got that? Go down to Setup, down to Frames, and Enter. Now here I have 1, 2, 3 frames being used. I'm going to go down to my new frame. Enter, and you have to say user frame up here. Sometimes it'll say tool frame. If it says tool frame, you have to hit other and get to user frames. So I'm going to name this frame T2. Now, my teaching method for this frame is going to be the 3-point teaching method. Okay? So 3 point, I'm going to teach an origin. I'm going to teach the x-axis, and I'm going to teach the y-axis. So the first thing I need to teach on my frame is the origin. It's nice to follow the same right-hand rule when you're teaching user frames. So I'm going to have an origin, x direction, y direction. So the best place for my origin here is right here in this corner. So I'm going to select origin point, and I'm going to move the robot to that point. Now it doesn't matter how you move the robot and what jog method you move the robot to get to your origin, as long as you get to that point. Play with the jogging, or you don't have to be too precise. So there I am, I'm at my origin. So I'm going to hit Shift, Record, and it says my point has been recorded. Now I want to define an x-axis. What direction is that going to be in? Straight ahead. He's going to be right along my square there. Exactly. Make sure you arrow down to x, direction point. And now I'm going to go that way. I'm not going straight ahead. No, I don't have to. I just need to get to that point. And that's roughly where I want to be for my x. So now I'm going to Shift, Record, and I have recorded my x-axis. I'm going to take him back to the origin, Shift, move to, highlight origin. He goes back to the origin. Now I'm going to teach my y-axis. Which direction am I going to go? He's going to be right here. Now when you teach a program, you need to be in the user frame that you're going to be using when you teach that program. I'm at Y already. So I'm going to Shift, Record my Y. Now here I have values. I have X of 384, Y of 240, and Z of negative 319. Those values are defining my origin position from my world origin. So I'm at X 384, I'm at Y 240, and I'm at Z negative 319. That's that point. Now I go to my position register. Let's go back to user frames. Okay, so I want to move X. Which way am I going to move? Which way is my robot going to move? He's going to follow. It doesn't matter where he's at on Y, but when he moves X, he's going to run parallel with this edge, right? So X positive. We did it. All right. Because, and I'll tell you exactly why, because the user frame I'm jogging in is 3. I want to jog in user frame 4. So now I'm in user frame 4. Now let's see if that works. Oh, I'm still jogging in world. I'm going to jog in user. So I'm going to jog in X positive, X negative. There we go. So 1, I had to be in the right user frame. 4, which is the new one I created. 2, I had to be in the right jog method, user. I was in world because I was moving in world. So now, there's Y, there's X. So now I'm good, okay? So what if my workspace was not flat? What if I'm at an angle? Okay. What if over here, here's my new workspace. So now I need to create it at an angle. I'm rotating on one of my axes over here. I'm going to create a new user frame. I'm going to hit menu. I'm going to go down and hit setup. I'm going to hit frames. Enter. Go to previous. I'm going to create a frame number 5. I'm going to call that T3. The method I'm going to use is my 3 points. And so here I am. I'm ready to do my new user frame. Now I'm looking like this. So what do you think? Origin, X, and Y. Let's get over it. As fast as it goes. You can create user frames anywhere within the work envelope. I can be up in the air, I can be down. And again, I told you with the different robots, you can create different numbers of user frames. The R30IB 61, the R30IB Plus 253 frames. All right, let's get down here and get this taught. So there's going to be my origin for that user frame. I arrow down to origin. I shift record. Now I'm going to teach my X. Where do you think my X point should be? Straight ahead? This way? He should be up here, right? He should be up here. There's my X. So there's where my X is going to be. Shift record. And now my Y is going to be along the bottom here, right? Shift record. Okay, so I've created that user frame. I want to make sure I'm jogging in user frame 5. Okay. Now when I jog, where do you think if I jog an X right now, where's X going to go? X positive. He's going to go up, right. Put her in user, X positive. And he's going up that slope. Every measurement now is going to be relative to this origin. So this is going to have a Y measurement to here. It's going to have an X measurement to here. So when I look at my positional data and I go to user frame, these measurements are relative now to my new origin, which makes it much easier to work with a workpiece when you have to have specific measurements. If you need a 2-inch weld or a 20-millimeter weld, you're going to know where to teach that weld. Okay, so that's all I have. I think we've covered user frames. Any questions?
No.
No questions. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.